Beneath the sands of time, beneath the ruins of empires, and beneath the dogmas of organized religion, lies a truth so old, so dangerous, that it was hidden for over 1,200 years. In the dusty vaults of Mount Athos and the secret libraries of Alexandria, there existed whispers of a manuscript, a book that mapped the unseen, a sacred guide not of this world, but of the one your soul traverses before you are ever born. This is not myth. This is not fantasy. It is a record, a revelation, a scroll that revealed the sacred blueprint of human existence, a spiritual cartography passed down by mystics, encoded in ancient languages, and buried under centuries of silence. And now, it resurfaces, at a time when more souls are awakening than ever before. In this video, we unveil the Scroll of Aeonic Passage, a forbidden 1,200-year-old manuscript that charts the 7 sacred stages your soul travels through before reincarnating into the physical world. From divine origin to karmic design to vibrational descent into the womb, every step is recorded and for the first time revealed to you. Suppressed by religious authorities, protected by mystical orders, decoded by few. This text bridges East and West, science and mysticism, death and rebirth. It speaks of soul contracts, ancestral echoes, energetic alignment, and the womb of forgetfulness, the veil that makes us forget who we truly are. If you've ever felt like you've been here before, if you've ever sensed a purpose buried beneath your everyday life, then this may be what your soul has been trying to remember. In the winter of 1887, a team of European philologists and religious historians were granted rare access to one of the most isolated monasteries of the Eastern Orthodox Church, nestled deep within the monastic republic of Mount Athos. They were following rumors of hidden vaults sealed for centuries, said to contain manuscripts untouched by the hand of man since the Byzantine Empire. Behind one sealed door, buried beneath layers of wax, prayer scripts, and iron bolts, they found a chamber, a cold, dark tomb of forgotten knowledge. Inside this chamber sat a solitary artifact. Wrapped in aged silk and bound in iron-threaded parchment was a manuscript written in both Koine Greek and Coptic. Scholars called it the Scroll of Aeonic Passage. Its estimated origin, the 8th century CE, though some paleographers suggest it may have drawn from even earlier Essene or Zoroastrian mysticism. This was no ordinary religious text. It bore no alignment to Orthodox Christianity. It did not speak of sin, salvation, or dogma. Instead, it revealed a spiritual map, detailing the pre-incarnation journey of the soul through celestial planes, karmic negotiations, and cosmic energy alignments. The scroll was not theoretical, it was instructional. It described, step by step, what happens to the soul before birth. It spoke of 7 sacred stages, a concept that eerily paralleled Tibetan, Egyptian, and early Christian Gnostic teachings. Word of the discovery quickly reached the Patriarchate in Constantinople. The response was swift and severe. The manuscript was immediately labeled heretical. Possession of any copy would be met with excommunication. The original scroll vanished soon after, reportedly locked in the Vatican's secret archives, never to be seen again. But it was too late. Copies had already been made, shared among members of secret esoteric orders in Alexandria, Tibet, and Persia. These groups saw the scroll not as a threat, but as a sacred treasure, a divine manual that affirmed their own mystical traditions of reincarnation and soul evolution. What makes this scroll so astonishing is its similarity to other ancient texts, like the Tibetan Bardo Thodol, which describes the soul's journey through intermediate states, or the Egyptian Book of the Dead, which guides the spirit through the afterlife using spells and rituals. The soul must pass through 7 gates, each guarded by echoes of its own past. The Scroll of Aeonic Passage. Were these cultures tapping into the same cosmic truth, seen from different lenses? Or was there once a unified ancient knowledge, fractured by time and empire, that the scroll was a remnant of? The 7 stages of the soul's pre-incarnation journey. Stage 1, the realm of divine reflection. The journey begins not with a thought, but with light. The Scroll of Aeonic Passage calls this sacred origin Fosterian, the realm of divine reflection. Here, the soul has no name, no past, no form. It exists in unity with the all. There is no fear, no suffering, only perfect resonance with the divine mind, a state mystics call samadhi, or the Gnostics refer to as the pleroma. And yet, within this stillness comes a single vibration, known in the manuscript as the first pulse of desire. This is not the desire of the ego. It is the divine urge to experience duality, to fragment, to descend, to know the I in contrast to the all. A sacred longing to create, to feel, to forget, and remember. The scroll describes a moment of divine questioning, a whisper, not in words, but in vibration, encoded into the essence of the soul. In the sea of eternal light, the soul was asked, "Will you remember who you are when the veil is drawn?" Scroll of Aeonic Passage, Fragment 2. To descend is to forget, to take on limitation. But in forgetting, there is the potential to rediscover the truth of one's nature through the beauty and pain of human experience. Many ancient traditions describe this state in veiled terms. The Hindu Atman before it merges with Maya, the Sufi soul dancing in the light of Allah, the Kabbalist spark of divine light within the Sephiroth, and thus the decision is made, not by command but by consent. The soul chooses descent, not out of punishment or karma, but out of divine curiosity. From the heights of divine reflection, the soul now prepares for its first encounter with memory, identity, and energetic signature. It enters the Hall of Mirrors. Stage 2, the Hall of Soul Contracts from the Scroll of Aeonic Passage. After accepting the call to descend, the soul enters the Hall of Soul Contracts, referred to in the manuscript as Symphonikos Domos, the House of Harmonic Agreements. This is no courtroom of judgment, but a sanctuary of divine design. Here, the soul becomes the architect of its own destiny. Guided by higher dimensional beings, some known as Akashic record keepers, the soul collaborates to craft a blueprint for its upcoming life. This blueprint is encoded with vibrational coordinates, birth time, family lineage, cultural matrix, and life themes. Every joy, every heartbreak, every illness, triumph, and betrayal is considered not as punishment, but as sacred curriculum. In this realm, free will still reigns, but on a higher octave. The soul may choose hardship to accelerate evolution. It may select a difficult parent, a traumatic childhood, or the burden of illness, not out of masochism, but out of love, for the light it will one day recover. He who suffers much in one life asked for accelerated remembrance. Scroll of Aeonic Passage, Fragment 5. This sacred law echoes ancient teachings across the world, from the Bhagavad Gita to the Hermetic texts. That suffering, when understood, becomes a ladder to higher awareness. Soul agreements. Agreements are made with other souls, some who will play the roles of family, lovers, enemies, or silent guides. These are the soul contracts, eternal oaths written not in ink, but in vibration. Often those who wound us most loved us enough to take on that role so our soul could awaken. With its contract sealed, the soul now carries a sacred mission. Not to live perfectly, but to remember, through the chaos, who and what it truly is. But before the descent into matter, the soul must first pass through the most mysterious chamber of all. Stage 3, the Chamber of Ancestral Echoes. The child of tomorrow drinks from the well of forgotten yesterdays. Scroll of Aeonic Passage, Fragment 8. As the soul prepares to bind itself to the material world, it must pass through a sacred archive, a living corridor known as the Chamber of Ancestral Echoes, called Nemes Stoa in the scroll. Nemes Stoa, Nimi Stoa, the Hall of Memory. Here, the soul witnesses the living memory of its chosen bloodline, stretching back generations across time and space. Each soul carries within it soul threads, energetic strands that connect it to the lives and traumas of its ancestors. These are not merely biological inheritances, but vibrational imprints of unresolved emotion, as love, courage, and pain. This is why a child may fear drowning despite never seeing the ocean, why another may instinctively play the violin, never having touched one. These are echoes, ancient codes embedded in the soul's tapestry. In this chamber, the soul does not merely observe, it feels. The weight of its lineage presses gently into its field. It is offered a choice, which lessons to carry forward, and which burdens to help transmute. The child of tomorrow drinks from the well of forgotten yesterdays. Scroll of Aeonic Passage, Fragment 8. Some burdens are inherited as sacred missions, to heal where others could not. Others are blessings, gifts earned across generations and passed down in silence. Modern science speaks of epigenetics, how emotional trauma and environment shape gene expression. But the ancients knew this long ago. The manuscript describes this exchange as a soul inheritance matrix, a system of karmic DNA that lives in both body and spirit. Before leaving, the soul receives a final blessing, a seed of ancestral strength to be planted deep within the subconscious. It will bloom only when the soul needs it most, in moments of crisis, revelation, or awakening. Now carrying the weight and wisdom of its lineage, the soul prepares to enter the realm where choice becomes illusion and the veil begins to descend. Stage 4, the veil of forgetting. The brave are not those without darkness, but those who walk into it knowingly. This is the soul's most intimate confrontation. Here, stripped of illusion and ego, it sees the imprint of all it has been across lifetimes. Every cruelty, every betrayal, every unresolved act of fear. The mirror does not punish, it does not judge, it simply reflects truth. A soul may witness its past as a tyrant, a victim, a savior, or a silent bystander in moments that required action. These moments are called karmic refractions, echoes that ripple through time. Some are heavy, some are light, all must be seen. This stage is the soul's reckoning. It asks, am I ready to return knowing the darkness I still carry? Many weep in this chamber. Others turn back, choosing more time in the ethereal realms before trying again. The brave are not those without darkness, but those who walk into it knowingly. Scroll of Aeonic Passage, Fragment 9. But those who choose to go forward, who accept their shadow without shame, are anointed with a sacred seal, the Sigillum Fortis. This seal, invisible to the physical eye, is carried through lifetimes. It appears in moments when courage is needed most, in choices of integrity, in moments of fear, in the silence before speaking truth. The mirror fades, the shadow is acknowledged, and now the descent begins in earnest. But before birth, one final challenge remains, the ultimate forgetting, the soul's greatest test. Stage 5, the veil of forgetting. In this stage, the soul calibrates its energy to match the vibrational frequency of the era, planet, and location it will be born into. This is why being born in 1200 AD feels vastly different from being born in 2025. The manuscript describes this process as a harmonic merger, synchronizing the soul's light with Earth's density. To dance in matter, the soul must first lower its song. Scroll of Aeonic Passage, Fragment X. Here, the soul undergoes one of its most delicate preparations. It must recalibrate, aligning its divine frequency to the dense vibration of the world it has chosen to enter. This process, called the harmonic merger, is vital. The manuscript explains that each planet, time period, culture, even the family the soul chooses, carries its own vibrational blueprint. A soul incarnating in ancient Tibet vibrates differently from one entering a bustling New York in 2025. To exist fully in matter, the soul must adjust, not just physically, but energetically. This is not a punishment, but a sacred descent. To become flesh is to dim the divine light, so it may shine in contrast. As the manuscript says, to dance in matter, the soul must first lower its song. Scroll of Aeonic Passage, Fragment X. The soul learns to hold just enough light to remain aware, and just enough shadow to forget, so that remembering becomes the great journey of life itself. With its frequency attuned, the soul becomes compatible with its chosen timeline. The moment of entry approaches. Time begins to fold. A heartbeat echoes in the distance, the heartbeat of the mother it will soon join. It is now bound to form. The next chamber will veil its memory and seal the sacred forgetting. Stage 6, the womb of forgetfulness. Only the blindfolded can learn to see with the heart. Scroll of Aeonic Passage, Fragment Lith. Now aligned, the soul begins its most enigmatic journey, the descent into the womb of forgetfulness. Known by mystics as Leith's cradle, this passage is not physical, but vibrational. Leith's cradle, Leithis Lignan, the chamber of divine amnesia. This stage is cloaked in myth, referenced in countless ancient cultures, from the Greek river Leith to the Egyptian field of reeds to the Tibetan Bardo realms. Here, the soul begins to forget everything. Leith was said to flow through the underworld, erasing the memories of all who drank from it. The manuscript likens this to an energetic washing, where the soul is cleansed of remembrance so that life may be experienced anew. Without this sacred forgetting, there would be no mystery, no wonder, no choice. every decision would be predetermined. And so the soul is veiled, not as punishment, but as a gift. As it floats in the silence of the soul, it forgets the names of stars, the faces of guides, the song of its origin. But within the deepest core, a spark remains, hidden beneath layers of flesh and fear. Only the blindfolded can learn to see with the heart. Scroll of Aeonic Passage, Fragment Themis. This is the sacred veil. It is why we wonder, why we search, why we feel homesick for something we cannot name. The final moment nears. The soul is drawn by the vibration of its chosen mother. Its body is forming. The veil is complete. The journey down is complete, but the real journey, awakening, remembering, evolving, has only just begun. Stage 7, the moment of birth, the soul's descent. The seed remembers the sun even underground. Scroll of Aeonic Passage, Fragment 12th. The final stage is not a step, but a leap, a dive from the infinite into the finite. This is the moment of incarnation, when the soul anchors into the forming body. This anchoring doesn't happen all at once. As the fetus develops, the soul's connection strengthens. It watches, it waits, and slowly it merges. At the moment of birth, the soul enters fully. The veil falls completely, and with the first breath, the forgetting is sealed. This is the beginning of a new journey, a new name, a new story. But beneath it all, the essence remains unchanged, eternal, watching. And yet, some remember, briefly, a whisper in a dream, a déjà vu, a child who speaks of a life they've never lived until someone tells them to forget. Past life memories, soul imprints, akashic traces. These are not accidents, these are echoes of the journey, proof that the soul has walked far before entering the present. The seed remembers the sun, even underground. Scroll of Aeonic Passage, Fragment 2. Though forgotten, the soul is never lost. It watches, nudges, awakens through art, pain, love, and silence. This is the soul's descent, but not its end. For in every lifetime, the true mission remains the same: to remember. Modern evidence and reincarnation cases. Could science be catching up to what mystics have always known? The ancient Scroll of Aeonic Passage tells us that the soul enters this world with the echoes of its past lives buried deep within. These echoes, hidden beneath the veil of forgetfulness, sometimes emerge unexpectedly. And in some remarkable cases, these memories don't stay hidden. They surface, they speak. Young children, often before they've even learned to read, recount details of past lives with startling accuracy. One of the most renowned researchers in this field was Dr. Ian Stevenson, a psychiatrist at the University of Virginia. For over 40 years, he investigated thousands of cases of children recalling past lives. His meticulous research documented hundreds of cases where children, some as young as 2 or 3 years old, recalled details about their past lives that were later verified through independent investigations. Specific names, dates, locations, even the circumstances of their previous deaths. Dr. Jim Tucker, who continues Dr. Stevenson's work at the University of Virginia, has followed in his predecessor's footsteps, uncovering even more compelling evidence. Children describing not just abstract memories, but vivid, tangible details, events they couldn't have possibly known. Could these memories be fragments of the soul's journey, the remnants of the stages detailed in the Scroll of Aeonic Passage? Ancient wisdom seems to align with modern research. Could these echoes be the soul's attempt to remember its true nature, its higher purpose? While the Scroll of Aeonic Passage teaches us that the soul undergoes many stages before birth, each one meticulously planned, the evidence of reincarnation cases suggests that these stages may leave subtle imprints on the soul, carried from one life to the next. Perhaps, in the end, science is beginning to catch up to what mystics have always known, that the soul's journey is eternal, and its memories, though veiled, are never truly lost. The stages your soul travels through before incarnation, as described in the Scroll of Aeonic Passage, may hold the key to understanding not only who we were, but who we truly are and why we're here. Why this knowledge was hidden. The soul is sovereign, and that's dangerous to those who rule by fear. So, why was the Scroll of Aeonic Passage hidden? Why did powerful figures, religious and political authorities, work to suppress this ancient wisdom for over 1,000 years? Because this manuscript holds the truth about the soul's journey, the stages of incarnation, and the inherent sovereignty of each individual soul. Knowledge so powerful, it could topple entire systems of control. It wasn't just the church that feared this knowledge. Societies, monarchs, and rulers of every era recognized its potential to awaken humanity to its true power, the power of personal sovereignty, and that was dangerous. For centuries, the ruling powers sought to keep humanity in ignorance, to teach that your soul is at the mercy of external forces, to make you believe you are nothing more than flesh, bound by fate and controlled by fear. Because a soul that knows its true power, that soul cannot be manipulated. The soul is sovereign. It does not belong to any state, any religion, any government, and that is what the rulers feared most. A free soul is a threat to the systems of control, and so this knowledge, this truth, was hidden. But you are not just flesh. You are a traveler across eternity, a timeless soul woven into the fabric of the universe. And as we've unlocked just a small part of this ancient knowledge today, maybe, just maybe, you're starting to remember. The journey never ends, only begins again.